Hello, and welcome to the Artist Pivot Podcast. It's your host, Ayana Major Bay, and in today's episode, I am thrilled to have the incredibly talented Queen Chyna West join me for what turned out to be a deeply enriching dialogue. Throughout the episode, Queen Chyna West shares her unique journey in entertainment, beginning her career on Broadway at just 16 and growing into a multifaceted artist and manager. She discusses the seeds of resilience, planted from a young age in Harlem and Brooklyn, that have allowed her to navigate the pressing challenges of both professional and personal life. The conversation also delves into her admiration for influential figures like Maya Angelou, Cicely Tyson, and the powerful impact of her grandmother. She highlights her shift from aspirations of acting to directing and writing, driven by empowerment and the solace she finds in spirituality and comedy. Complete with reflections on hardships, the triumphs of her multifaceted career, and her thoughts on legacy and late-blooming dreams. This episode is a powerful look at artistic resilience and the profound strength drawn from familial and cultural roots. Queen Chyna's stories are a testament to the life of a true artist. Let's dive in. Come take a listen and let your inner artist play, creating your dreams step by step every day. If you're feeling lost and don't know what to do, always remember that you can pivot to the artist pivot. The artist pivot. Hello, and welcome to the Artist Pivot Podcast. I am your host, Ayana Major Bay, a multi-hyphenated artist, and I am glad you are here. A couple housekeeping things before we get into the conversation. First, to keep up to date on all the things happening with the podcast, subscribe to the monthly newsletter at ayanabay.com/podcast. Second, to show your support for the show, you can get podcast merchandise at ayanabay.com/merch. And third, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and share this with at least one person. Enjoy the episode. We Audition is the video chat community where actors can audition, self-tape, rehearse, and get expert industry advice. Get instant self-tape readers through video chat, browse through the dedicated actor meditations, podcasts, and books, meet casting directors in the virtual green rooms, and also make money by becoming a reader for other actors. If you join We Audition and use code PIVOT, you will receive a 25% discount on your membership. Link in the show notes. And one more thing, a little disclaimer. The first half of this interview had to be recovered because of technical issues, so the audio quality is not up to par. However, we pivoted and the audio in the second half is golden. All right, y'all. So I am so excited to say that in the building, on the podcast, on the stage, in it is Miss Queen Chyna West. Hello there.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. I am refreshed and I had a little bit too much sleep, but I'm good.
I understand that.
I'm super hyped.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So I like to start the podcast with two questions. And so here are my first two questions. Number one, how are your hydration levels? Have you had enough water today? And question number two, if I were to text you right now and say, hey, Queen Chyna West, how you doing? How's your day been? But you could only respond in emojis only, what would you text me?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so hydration, coconut water on deck.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And if I had to text you, first of all, I need my glasses, my specs.
And they're fierce. Look at those. Come on, cheetah print.
Thank you. Yes, I would text. Oh, I would probably text my favorite text or emoji, and that would be the one where the face is a smirk. Like,
oh,
that's how my day is going.
Yes.
That's how my day is going. Because I'm always in my head, and so usually, like we went to Walmart this morning. I took my baby girl to Walmart this morning, and like everything is like a weight. and I'm working patience. But when you pray for patience, you have to be very, very careful. Be careful what you pray for.
Because you're going to get it.
So
you're going to get those lessons in patience when you pray for them.
You're going to get those lessons. That's right. That's right. So everything is like, it's a line. It's another line. So my favorite emoji is a smirk. And that also means something very wry. It could also mean something comical. It could also mean I'm being a smart ass. It can mean so many different things. So that's my favorite emoji.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that imaginary text and that
welcome.
Smirk. Because I love that smirk too. That's a good one. Like you said, there's many connotations to that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Many connotations. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for those updates.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So, y'all, I brought on Miss Queen Chyna West because she has been in the entertainment business for years and has made many a pivot and is still here looking gorgeous as ever. But she's still doing the thing, y'all. And so I wanted to hear about your pivots, about, you know, some of the struggles you've had, but how you've gotten through them. And to know, you know, keeping that fire within you. You're like, I know that I'm meant to do this, but how do I, you know, stay on my path with just because life be lifing.
Yes,
life be lifing. And you're like, but I'm gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other, especially in this entertainment industry. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in the business for, well, I was about maybe 16. I started on Broadway, Tammy Hall, and I had a supporting lead role. I was also a mom at age 16.
Okay.
And in the process of me, well, I had a manager. So in the process of me trying to find my way, I met a lot of people. And that's my inspiration. Like the people in the industry that I adore, I pull and I draw from them. I glean from them. That's my inspiration. However, my passion is also my inspiration. I am a passionate guru, or I like to use that like a monster. I'm very passionate about the arts because it brings me alive. It brings me to life. So when I'm on stage or if I'm on a platform and I feel like this is what I was born to do. And I know that sounds cliche, right? It sounds like a cliche, but it's my honest truth. I am my best self when I'm doing what I love and it doesn't feel like work. And that's the arts for me. So I wear a lot of hats. I don't like to try to date myself too much or pat myself on the back too much, but I give all of the attributes of my gifts. I give the glory to the Lord because I know there's a lot of things, like even with school, that I'm not that smart. I'm not that brilliant. I'm not that funny. But when I add the Lord on top of it, it's like he just, you know, he mantles me with these very special gifts and talents. And then, you know, my personality being from Harlem, I was raised in East and West Harlem, and then I was raised in Brooklyn with my daddy. So I have a colorful personality, and I think that's what makes me thrive.
Yeah.
That's a part of my passion. That's like the basis or the foundation of my passion.
Yeah.
So that and then the inspiration of others that I adore, and I love to see them work, and you know, I draw inspiration.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% like vibrate with that, or like that meshes with me because it's the same. Like resonate. I feel resonate. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Resonate. Thank you. See, you was in my brain. You was in my brain. Thank you. But like, yes, I feel most alive when I'm on stage. I feel most alive creating art. I feel most alive around other artists, like also pulling, like you said, pulling inspiration from the people that I admire or the people that I'm working with. And like, and again, I agree with you. I was born to do this. Like you can't tell me that I wasn't born to do this. You can't you cannot tell me that God did not give me this gift. Like
That's
like
right.
that's just, I will look at you in the face and be like, what? Please go sit in the corner. Like you cannot
Right.
tell me that. But it's,
That means you don't know me.
that's it. It means you don't know me. So like I 1,000% resonate with that,
Yes.
Queen Chyna.
Yes.
Like 1,000%. So with that, did you ever have like, so okay, so let me formulate my question. I have a couple places I want to go. So you started young. You started on Broadway at 16. And so
Yes.
was there ever a like, I need to get to this point. So like I need to be a leading actress on Broadway, or I need to get to, I don't know, an A-lister in Hollywood before like, oh, okay, I've made it. Like, did you ever have a trajectory that you were like, oh, I have to get right there?
Yes. First pivot was, I think it was the domestic when I was in Tammany Hall and I played Trudy in the domestic. And I think I got the director's bug, or because I'm a little bit controlling. So I was like, you know what? I want to be behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. But in front of the scenes, I basically want to do like theater, and I'm a poet as well. So the spoken word aspect of it, because I found my voice when I was on stage.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Even when I did spelling bees, right? When I would accomplish and I would get to the next level, and they're like, okay, so the winner is, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm spelling these words, and I'm in elementary school and middle school. There was like such a rush. It was almost like a high.
Yeah.
And it gave me such a feeling of elation that it was like, okay, so that's how I got on Broadway. But I was like 7, 8, 9, and I was singing and like reciting little poetry or little poems for family at gathering. Like, okay, so who's next? And they would put me on the stage, and that would be like center of the whatever it was, like a barbecue. Whatever. I was thinking not because that means pick a nigga, but I'm thinking pick barbecue.
Yeah, a barbecue, a gathering, a family gathering.
That's right, family gathering. So I'm in the middle, and I'm performing, and I get this high. So that's the first pivot. So I guess I would say, just to recapitulate it, I would say from middle school or elementary school to middle school, that spelling bee bug, and then my family, and then it just transitioned into theater. But when I did that play, and I was supporting lead, it wasn't so much about the leadership role or how many lines I had. It was the fact that I'm on Broadway, like I'm a teenager, and I'm on Broadway. Because my Nana, my maternal grandmother, was very, very instrumental in making sure that we delved in the arts, all sorts, from the museum, any sort of like aquarium. We went to the West Indian Day Parade every year.
Yeah.
So she was we saw the Rockettes.
Yes.
I was a young girl, but we saw the Rockettes. So we saw the Wiz, with, of course, with Stephanie Mills. She's like my favorite. But she made certain that we were cultured. And that was her way of placing us in a position to be a part of the elite in Harlem, because she went to the Audubon, she would put on her mink coat, and she would go and, put on her eyelashes, and my grandfather would get all dapper dammed up.
Yeah.
And they would go to the Audubon. So that was her lifestyle.
Okay.
And I think it came honestly, but at some point she didn't want me to be an actress.
Really?
She wanted to make sure. No, she didn't.
Okay.
She frowned upon it because I guess somehow or another, maybe she discerned it, but she realized that Hollywood may not be for me. Maybe she thought I was weak, because my mother was weak, and as a human being, she wore her love and her heart on her sleeves. So I think my Nana kind of was trying to. She was really strict, but I think she was trying to like save me from the hurts and the ills of Hollywood. And so she wanted to pretty much like deter my ambition.
Yeah.
So, but that first pivot, like I said, and then I went. So, to really answer your question directly, I wanted to become a director.
Okay.
And that's what I did because I saw what this young lady was doing with this, and it was based upon her true story. She had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was based upon a true story. This play that I was participated in, domestic again, but it was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. She wrote that, and we're enacting it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something that's doable, and I can make money. Because I made a little bit of money. It was a stipend, but I made a little bit of money. I was like, wait a minute now.
You're like, hold on. I can get a check for this?
Like, I want to be a big baller shot caller. You know, be behind the scenes and then pick and choose which type of scenes or which type of, I guess, characters I could portray.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my pivot 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
In the beginning.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decided to go down the director path. So with that, did you find it was like a little bit harder? Did you start with like writing your own work and then directing it, or you went straight into directing other people's work?
Nope, I did that too.
Okay.
There was a gentleman. His last name was Williams, but I did that too. It's called The Gospel Theater.
Okay.
But that was after and in between because I later did mine as well. But I started writing, and my first play was called "Where's God Now, Child?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it sounds like "Where's God Now, Child?" Right?
Uh-huh.
CHILE, not child.
Child.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I wrote that, and it was a semi-auto biographical piece from my mom.
Okay.
My mom died of AIDS. And so it was the struggle that she had when she divulged that information to church folk. Yeah. So you have there's a difference between Christian, religious, the dogmatic, and then you have, Christian, right? So my mom had a terrible time. They really judged her. Yeah. And so that's where that piece birthed from. Okay. That was my first piece. And so my family teases me all the time because I did that. I think I put that play on a couple of times. I know it was the Dempsey Theater in Harlem. Mm-hmm. It was a couple of times off Broadway. Okay. I did it in a couple of churches. Mm-hmm. So I did about 3 plays that I published, and actually I wrote it and then produced it and directed it. Yeah. So that was really, I think, like people say I'm living my best life. I think I'm living my best life now, but I think then I was really living my best life. I was doing the doggone thing, Ayana. Yes. I felt so, I don't want to say alive again because I don't want to sound, like I'm being redundant, but that was a time in my life where, and my children were small. I had stair-step children. Mm-hmm. But I would take them with me. I told my actors, you have to find a babysitter. Yeah. But here I am in tow. That's a whole nother story, Right. Here I am, I have one right here in the kangaroo thing. Do as I say, not as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Thank you. Don't watch me. That's right. I got this. Action. I love that. But we did that. It was wonderful. I did that about maybe 4 times in New York, in a couple of churches, and then, like I said, off Broadway and theaters. But that was so much fun, and it was like, okay, so I am really actualizing the same thing that this young lady did with the domestic, because I wrote this piece. Yeah, I am directing this piece. I was even the stage manager. Like, I have to pay my actors, so I was the stage manager, and I executive produced it, and that was the time of my life. Yeah, that was the time of my life. Yes. Oh, I love that. That makes my heart flutter. I love that. Well, I do have a question for you. Okay. How did you find the resources to produce it? Because I know that I've had conversations with other artists of like, oh, I have this idea, but how do I find the funding? Or, did you get it through grants? Did you just use your own money? Did you ask family? Did you go to the theaters? Like, okay. I hadn't heard about, now we have resources that I'm aware of. Like, it used to be called the Actors, but now we have the Entertainment Community Fund, right? Yes. They've helped me. I was going to say I helped them. I wish, but I'll get there. But they've helped
Same.
me.
I want to give back to them. Yep. Okay.
That's right. Me too. So they've helped me a few times, but back then it was all about you were the resource.
Okay.
You hustled, you got your, and then I had a job. Like I always worked for the city of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked for the Parks Department. Like I've did so many things. I've always worked and earned. I worked for the New York Public Library,
mm-hmm.
but I would actually source my own plays.
Okay.
And even when I gave I learned about the stipend from the domestic when I did that.
Yeah.
So I would give them a stipend for not traffic. What do you call it? Traveling, right?
Mm-hmm.
For traveling, and then they got a paycheck when it was all over. It wasn't really large because this was like the 90s, but it was sizable enough to where they were appreciative of it.
Yeah.
They came to rehearsals. I would give them a stipend. So it's like they got paid to rehearse. That's just my mentality because I know how I would like things to be done behind the scenes, and that's how I implemented I was very structured, and that's how I did. That's how I did my gig.
Yeah. Yes. Which, as artists, we do appreciate that. It's like, thank you. Like, yes, we know coming in, you may not have the biggest budget, but like showing that appreciation, being like, this is what I can give to you right now.
This is what I can, right. Yeah. People appreciate that. I know did, because I was just, at first I thought it was going to be, free because I had a manager back then. Mm-hmm. And my manager, which is what I do now too as well, I manage various different levels.
Yeah.
But my manager, I thought it was free because he said, I have a gig for you to go and audition for. Mm-hmm. And he was like, it's a non-paying, but you're going to be on Broadway, going to be, like one of the leads.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Uh-huh. Sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. I'm ready. So, yeah. But now on Tidbit, my favorite actress was, rest in peace, Cicely Tyson.
Oh, yes.
I saw her.
Okay.
Yes. In The Story of Jane Pittman. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to be a child psychologist. My nana was like, yeah, do that.
Okay. Okay.
That,
mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you'll make a lot of money, Mm-hmm. But I saw that and I thought to myself, this lady's not really old. And
all right, y'all. So we're back. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're here. So, Miss Queen Chyna West, you were talking about Cicely Tyson and seeing her for the first time, and how you actually wanted to be a child psychologist, and your grandmother was like, "You should go do that."
Yes, stick with that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, that's where the money is. You're not going to make any money as an actress. Who makes money as an actress? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. Like, that's amazing. She's not really old. Do you see that, Nana? Do you see that? I probably didn't use the word transformation, but I might have, because we had Encyclopedia Encarta encyclopedias. One of the, I don't know which way it goes. The Encarta encyclopedias. We had the entire set.
Yes.
So we had childcraft books where we learned about everything on our own. My grandmother had a library in the projects, but that was her mentality. Like, you talk about social class, right? She had an upper class mentality. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I saw Queen Cicely, and I was like, and my 14th grandbaby's name is Cicely. It's Amora Cicely Janelle Holly. They let me name her. Yes. So I'm just like, that was another pivotal moment for me. Mm-hmm. That was another pivotal moment. I almost stuttered there for a second. I do suffer sometimes from stuttering. It's just it's not an impediment, but it's because of I guess my trauma. I've gone through so much trauma in my life. So sometimes you'll see me reaching. I write better than I speak. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll be on a flow, girl. And it's like, my children be like, could you please, Mom? You want to hear yourself speak. Because I'm like, because I know I'm smart. I'm intelligent. And I know, but, sometimes I'm reaching for my words because not that I want to sound intelligent. I know that I am an intellect. But it's like, I'll be grasping for the perfect words to say to to capture my authentic feelings.
Mm-hmm.
There's that poet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yes.
you know it. She a poet, and you know it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's like Cicely was amazing. And then another person, that's what I was thinking about too, because I wanted to go in another direction, more contemporary. In my head, Kim Fields is my best friend. I met her. We have pictures. I have photos with her. And HBO Deaf Poetry, because I was a journalist too. That's another hat. And I was a freelance journalist during the HBO Deaf Poetry time, because I also had my show in the Bowery, and it was called China Doll's Spoken Soul Show. And that was in the Bowery. And that's how I met a lot of prolific poets, various different actors and artists of very different genres. But I met, that was like, I guess like a bucket list. I know that sounds crazy, but it was like, I met Kim Fields. Yeah. And her spirit is so authentic and genuine, and I just felt at home with her. It was like, it was just like really, really natural. Like I meet some celebrities, right? I abhor that. I abhor that word, but I meet certain celebrities, and I'm like, okay, like, so should I go into pretentious mode as well?
Right. Like, how are we doing this?
Beast mode. Yeah. How are we doing this? But she was really, really, she wasn't overly friendly. She wasn't trying to be overly friendly, but she spit that night, and she did a poem. And what I loved about her was that she had to do a retake. She didn't skip a beat.
Yes.
Like sometimes people, like you get them in their element, right? And they make a faux pas and they make a mistake. And then they go into this automatic, like, it's like a mask on, mask off. Like, okay, well, I'm so-and-so. And so you can edit that. She was like, okay, rewind. Let's run this back. Let's take this back. And she did it again. And then after she was so gracious, every person that asked her to take a photo, she took a photo. She smiled. She was gracious. She spent enough time with us. She didn't overextend herself. And then she left. And I was like, oh my God, I've met my BFF. Yeah. She's my BFF in my head since she's been on television. She's been a child star. What is it, Tootie? And she's been a child star forever. So, and she had locks then too. And I had blonde locks, and we were both growing our locks at the same time. So in the photo, I have on this hat. I got a poor boy hat. And my hat, I always got a cock to the side. That's in Brooklyn. But then it's the East and the West Harlem. I got the cock the hat to the side. So I cocked the hat to the side. And she had her locks, and we both were like at the same length. So we had that in common as well. So that was really, really amazing. A very pivotal, a profound, pivotal moment.
Sounds like
so.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
She changed my life too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like you said, being able to meet her and going, oh, this is real. You're real. I met you.
Yes. And I look like you, and you look like me. Like I could do what you're doing, and it's okay. There's enough for everybody to eat. There's enough space out here for everyone. Ooh. And then her mother, Chip, of course, is absolutely amazing. So it's like she get it from her mama. I felt like there was a kinship because I get it from my mother. Even though my mother had those negative attributes growing up, she fell into the wrong crowd, and she wasn't a leader. But, that's fine. That's my mother's life. She lived her life, and we became friends later on. We grew up to love each other later on in life. But it's like when she was in her prime, my mother sang. Yeah. I'm a vocalist. My mother she wrote poetry. I write poetry. I'm a poet.
There you go.
So there's the wonderful attributes of my mom that I was able to, hone in on and adopt and pull from her. And I didn't even know that I was adopting them because I didn't know that much about her until I became maybe like in my late 20s. So I didn't even know that she had all of these gifts or all of these talents, like I said, until I was grown. Yeah. So it was like really mesmerizing to me to realize that this woman who went down this road, she had all of this to offer the world. Like, was he that good? Like, what?
Right.
Not a man on earth.
Not on this, not on God's green earth, not the earth that I'm on right now.
Let me tell you, you reminded me of. Did you happen to see Cat Williams on Club Shay Shay?
I have not. I've seen all the clips and different things, but I haven't watched it.
There's a part, every time I hear this part, he's one of my favorite comedians, aside from Bernie Mac and Ari Spears, and there's a few others, but he says, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" I don't even know the context, or I can't even reference, but he's like, "Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?"
Yes, are you sure? And girl, every time I hear that piece, like when I rewind the clip, or I see it in my timeline or whatever on YouTube, I have to see it again because it just gives me like, oh my God. Like Tommy Davidson, he says, he was on Club Shay Shay too. He's talking about Jennifer Lopez's song, Jenny from the Block. Yeah. And then he's from a mixed background. He has a multicultural, he was raised by a white mother. And he doesn't really talk about his father, but apparently his father's Black. But he was adopted. But he was still raised in a multicultural environment. Okay. And so he quickly switches, girl. He says, you know that song? He's like, Jennifer Lopez's song, Jenny from the Block. And then he goes, from the block, 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 block. Listen, that's not how to start.
You're like, that's not it. That's not it.
Why did you have to take it to the Caucasian version? Right. To the block, 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 block. Girl, okay, let me get my composure because I'm a comedian, girl. That was my nana too. I get that from her because she loved all of the comedians that cursed because she was very classy again. So she did not curse. Right. And so, the Red Foxes and she loved Eddie Murphy. She loved she loved Red Fox. Who was the one? She listened to Cosby on Sundays. Okay. So she listened to classical music. She listened to jazz. She didn't listen to gospel. She wasn't Christian. She was Catholic. Well, some Catholics consider themselves Christian, but she listened to Richard Pryor. That was one of her favorites. Yeah. But we grew up with sounds in my house. That's why I'm so colorful, because we grew up with sounds. She loved Bob Marley. Like I said, we attended the West Indian Day parades, like parade every year. Yeah. But my household was full of sound and color, sounds with an S. Yeah. And color and art and culture. And it was love, but my Nana never said, "I love you." She showed it. So we had the leather bombers, we had Adidas. When the Pro-Cats came out, we had Pro-Cats. We had every sneaker. I had diamond studs. I was like 16. I had diamond studs in my ears. Yeah. But that was her way of showing. She had a 6th grade education. That was her way. But her parents, they were immigrants, but they owned a farm in Florida, a peanut farm. Okay. So she had this mentality that I want you to do better. I want you to be better. And you're going to do better and you're going to be better. But she always tried to control the path. Academia was absolutely, it was imperative. Like it was absolutely, it was like mandated. Like you would get a spanking if you came home less than an A or B. But she didn't do C, she didn't do D, she didn't do Fs. Right. That was not, because she had a 6th grade education. So that I drew from her too. Yeah. It's like the color of, just the beats and the colors and the humor and then it was the alcohol. Alcohol. Yes. But it was just very lively. But we were also, believe it or not, with all of that, she was very private. Yeah. Yeah. You only saw what she wanted you to see. That's right. And that's how we were able to move throughout these various different housing projects. Like we didn't go out and it was like the lights was on and then we were out in the street. No. if we got $20 a week back then, it was like $1,000. Like we had $20 a week. My grandfather was a baker. That was his trade when he fought in World War II. And that was his trade. And he was a fisherman. That's where I get that from. I love to fish. That's my pastime. That's my favorite hobby. Right. And that and boxing, that's my favorite sport. But and basketball. But my grandfather would give us an allowance, and we would go to the store and eat up our allowance. And then you came upstairs. You went to the store, and if you wanted to go to the record store, and you would go to the record store, and you would buy a record, or you would get your, pickles and Wise potato chips, whatever. But we were not in the streets. Right. Not.
Right.
She didn't play those.
You go there.
She didn't play those type of games.
Right.
And you come home.
Right.
And you go to school and you come home. And that was it. Yeah. And then everything we did as a family. Right. Whether it was traveling on the train or the bus, we would take the bus all the way downtown, and we would go, to see the lighting of the tree. We'd go ice skating.
Yeah.
And like I said, to see various different plays.
Right.
And so I never knew, Ayana, I never knew that I lived in the projects until I saw a man. He got shot, and he was a crackhead, and a guy came running, and my auntie was in the front with her sugar daddy, and my auntie said, "Scoop down on the hoop and pretend to be asleep." And he unloaded a 9. He just unloaded the Glock. It was like, bow, 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 bow.
Wow.
And the man was like right to my right side, like where my kitchen wall is. and I pretended to be sleeping. Her sugar daddy leaned his head, and my aunt just, leaned her head. And I was down under the hump. And it was like, this is the hood. Right. Because we were afforded, like I said, we went to parochial school. We went to private schools all the way through high school. Like I went to Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx. I did a year of that, and then I moved on to JFK. But we went to St. Joseph's in Harlem, West Harlem, after the 6th grade. So public school. And then we were like shipped out. My grandmother was like, I want you guys to be educated. Yeah. Because the way this world is going, this is a priority. Yeah. So that's why I said again, it was imperative for us to be educated. To be educated and to be exposed. Like she was like, just because you live here doesn't mean I'm not going to expose you to other things. Doesn't mean I'm not going to take you down to the tree lighting. Doesn't mean you're not going to school. Doesn't like she was, in essence, because you also know this, she was setting you up for success. She was like, because I'm not going to be here your whole life. So what? So I need to make sure you are set up and put on the right path. Yes. So I could say I've done my job. Now, once you on that path, and you gonna do whatever you do. Right. But she's like, while I'm in your presence, or while you're in my presence, set the foundation. Set the foundation. Yes. And I think, even speaking to you, like she did help you set the foundation because you have been a multi-hyphenate since the beginning, like being a director and I like that word. I am now a multi-hyphenate creator. I used to just be like an actress. That's what I just called myself. Okay. But then realizing it's like, no, I can do a lot more than that. Yes. A lot more. Yes. And you came to that realization earlier, thank God I've come to the realization, but you came to it earlier of like, no, I could be. That's right. Right. Exactly. You come to it when you come to it. Like, that's what it is. But you're a director, you're an executive producer, you're a comic, you're this, you've had your shows in New York and your poetry and all of these things. And so, and now, you manage other artists. So the multi-hyphenate seems to have just been birthed in you, especially by your grandmother, by your family, by your upbringing, and knowing, no, I am capable of doing all of these things. And so my question to you would be is like, how have you juggled them over the years? Is it like, do you put one hat down? Do you wear 2 hats at the same time? Do you put one, that one can't be on the stove right now, so I'm gonna put it over here on the counter. Like, how have you managed over the years in pivoting and being like, I'm gonna be in this industry, but I'm using all of my talents? Okay, so you just want me to cry. You are allowed to cry. You know me very well. I do. But, that's a loaded question. I put myself on the back burner. I put myself on that back burner. Like I have 2 daughters that already have their bachelor's degree. I have another daughter now, my baby girl.
Yeah.
She's house sitting for me at this apartment. And I go back and forth to Atlanta because, like I said, I have 14 grandchildren. So I'm trying to be very instrumental in their lives. I want to be present while I'm here, and I want to be influential, so that when we do become affluential, because it's coming, like that's the trajectory that I'm on finally. And I don't say finally like discrediting the Lord, because he knew I wasn't ready. But I put myself on the back burner, Ayana. I always put people before me because I think I was born to serve. I don't think. I know. Some people think that being a servant or being a person of servitude means that you have to be weak. I'm far from that.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother can of worms. We're not even going down the ratchet China side. But I'm far from, but I love to see people shine. That's my whole thing. I get excited. Remember at the onset, what did I say? Inspiration I pull from other people. I get inspired when I see people shine and thriving and doing what they love. For me, it was an epiphany when I realized that my acting is not work for me. Even when I do background work, I do a lot of background work in Atlanta. Yeah. Because it's a check. Yep. And it's also more than a hobby. So if I can do 3 or 4 different, background gigs, and I can pay, a car payment, or I can pay my rent that month or whatever, that's a check. Yeah. And then it's not work. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So my 2 daughters, my baby girls, I wanted them to advance, because the ratchet Queen Chyna West, with my 3 eldest children, it's like I was like a horrible mother. Not horrible. I've always been a good mother. But with the 2 youngest daughters, I vowed that I was going to be their mentor. I wanted them to look up to me. My 3 eldest children proved that they can look up to me, because I was like, what? This is where I'm from. Where am I? I'm from the hood, so I'm a product of my environment. So this is how you expect me to act. This is how I'm supposed to act. This is how I'm going to be acting. No. And the drinking and the alcohol and, and the weed, even though weed is not a public service announcement, marijuana is not a drug. It's a plant. It's a plant. But I don't indulge just because right now I'm in school and, and I don't feel the need for it. But, I have a plethora of friends and family members that do. And so I don't frown upon it. But when I was doing my thing and I was in the street and I was clubbing and I was, just living that wayward life, far from Christian life. And I raised them as Christian. And then I turned, my back on the Lord, and I turned my back on my family. Also, I kind of touched on it about my ex-husband, my children's father. We were together like 22 and a half years. That was the worst, most tumultuous, volatile, violent, like relationship in the entire world. So I was searching for love, but was supposed to be in love. But even though I wasn't in love, I married him to get him, because he took me out of the projects, girl. Yeah. And so it was the method to my madness. But I had to pay for that. So mentally, I was still struggling with my own, post-traumatic stress disorder, my own mother and abandoning my brother and I, leaving us in the welfare center in Harlem, and being a drug addict and a prostitute. So I'm thinking, like, where do I fit in this world? I had the worst, Ayana. I had the worst chip on my shoulder growing up. Yeah. From the time, like, even though I evolved in a sense, artistically and creatively, I became a creative genius because of that play at 16. I still went through hell to get from A to B. Yeah. And I got babies in tow, like, these my babies. They were looking at me like, Mama, this is the life this is how we gonna live. Right. They never were, abused or neglected by me. in terms of not ever having a roof over their head. I've always fed them. Now, I spank my children, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is they always had food. They always had a roof because of me, not because of some man or because of their father. And I'm not a man basher. I'm not dogging out men, but I've had my share because, and I'll take it right back. I'll pivot right back around 360 degrees because of my kindness and because of my serving, that spirit that I had, the spirit of servitude. Yeah. People always took that for weakness. Yeah. Like, okay, she's so kind and she's so nice. She's going to forgive me. So I'll cheat. Or, okay, so I put myself on the back burner so that my kids could survive. Even my grandkids, I raised some of my grandchildren. You know, I try to help in every way that I can because I didn't have that. Yeah. I didn't have that. I don't even know what it's like to be like, hey, Ma. Like, even when my mother and I became friends again, she moved with my ex-husband and I in Virginia. She lived with us for about 8 years when we lived in Virginia. And, you know, we talked. That's how I found out a lot of things about myself and my history, too. But I didn't call her Ma. You left me in the welfare center, girl. You my homegirl. I used to give you, you know, when I was out there doing my thing, I would give you some rock just so you could watch my daughter. So that's the kind of relationship we had. Yeah. Hood relationship, mother-daughter. I never called her Ma. I never called her mommy. I don't know what that's like. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure, especially my last 2 children, I wanted to make sure that they had that they were privileged. You have white privilege. I wanted to make sure my grandmother made sure we were privileged. Yeah. Yeah, she did. We had all sorts of advantages. And she knew all sorts of politicians, and my grandfather did. And, you know, but because of him, that's his wife. But she knew, you know, the who's who, and she knew who the people was, who the big names was, where to go to get it done. You know, yeah. We never went without. Yeah. So I put myself on the back burner, and I sacrificed a lot, especially for my dreams and my aspirations. And sometimes I always think, like, is it too late for me? You know, no. I just turned 57 on the 22nd of March. Congratulations, first of all, 57. You don't look like it. Look, the queen is glowing, y'all. It was Queen Chyna West, okay, first of all. And second, no, it's not too late. It is not, because God has you up and about. You have breath in your lungs. It is not too late. Yes, that's right. Amen. That's right. That's right. Amen. And I think she was in Cairo. Dr. Maya Angelou. Oof, yes. She didn't start, because remember, there was a period where she didn't even speak. And she didn't really start her career. She didn't embark upon, I think she became a journalist, and she was in Cairo, Africa. Yeah. And she started writing. She was working with Dr. Martin Luther King, and she was working with Malcolm X. And she found her voice. Like, her true, authentic voice. And it was gritty at first, but she made her way, and she didn't pass away till she was like 77 years old. So, you know, I have to be very careful when I go down that road, because of the PTSD, I can cause myself to become depressed. And that's why I love the fact that that's why I love comedy too. Yeah. Because there's a scripture that says that laughter, it's like a merry heart doeth good like medicine. So I love laughter. I love laughter, and I love, you know, comedic, mostly clean, but I can't help it because it's in me. You know, it's like excuse me. There's a person in the Bible. I think his name is I think it was Dr. Paul. He said, "That which I do, I don't really want to do it." I'm paraphrasing, of course. He was like, and the things that I should be doing, I don't seem to find the time to do it. That's how I am. It's like, I know I shouldn't be listening to all this vulgarity, but it's like, sometimes it just, it gives me this gut laugh where I become free, because I'm not too far removed from that. I only strive to be sinless. I know I'll never, ever be sinless. So I strive to be, and I don't say only like it's a mere thing, because that's coming from where I come from. It's difficult at times, but I remind myself of what you said earlier. It's like I have to remember that I am alive. I am here today. You just said it a few moments ago. I am here today. I'm still breathing. That means that God is not done with me yet. I have a purpose.
Bingo.
I still have breath in my body. That means that I can still achieve my goals and aspirations. And God forbid if I don't, I have a legacy. I have children that will take on. I already have everything set up. Like I have a record label. My son has it. It's in his name.
Yeah.
I have H2S Entertainment Cafe LLC. That's my baby. And then my daughter Princess, that's supposed to be hers. Yeah. And, my 2 daughters, they'll take over Queen Chyna's Cafe, because I will definitely have those. Yeah. Hoping to have 5, in 5 locations near you.
Yes.
Right? Pull up for some plant-based and vegan food.
All right.
And some plant-based wine.
Hey.
I have all my ducks in a row. I have everything set up so that, upon my demise, my children know, take it over. Don't let everything that mommy did, be in vain. Just like I have a burden from my grandmother and my grandmother's burden. And it's not like I just thought about it, but it kind of correlates with what I'm saying. When I found out about my mom, also with my grandmother, I found out that I'm a server, or I love to serve, because that's her. She was a hospitality queen.
Yeah.
And she served her children's children. She did not want any more children. She didn't want to raise her children's children, but she served us, like I said, with the arts and taking us to various different, she would set aside a budget. Did I ever tell you? Yeah, I think we spoke about this before. I told you that my furniture had plastic on it in Lincoln Projects on 132nd Street and Mad Avenue. That's why I'm mad. No, it's like,
listen, no plastic. Right? My grandma had it too. I was like, why? My legs are sticking. It's hot.
Yes. What is that about? I don't know. And cherry oak furniture. What's cherry oak? What is that?
I don't
cherry
know.
Oak wood?
They all had it. Right? They all, because my grandma had it too.
Yes.
Girl,
right.
What?
Yes. But there's a certain amount of dignity that comes with that. Because that means that they're not only reserved, but they want to preserve their investment.
Yes.
That's what she taught me. So I want to do what she did. I want to pass the baton where, my children will do way better than I'm, I've done way better than my Nana, and my grandfather. And they did well. Like I said, we were in the projects. I didn't know we were lived in the, I didn't know it was hood for real,
Right.
No.
You had no idea until it came to you.
Jiggling, baby.
Right.
Go ahead, baby.
Come on.
Jiggling, baby. Go ahead, baby.
Hey,
Jiggling, baby. So that's what I want to do with my babies.
Yeah.
I want to, be such a reserved and classy woman, that and even on an intellectual level, that I pass the baton to them, so that they're able, if God don't come back, if she's don't return, they're able to not only live but to thrive, and to do it in abundance, to prosper in abundance, and to prosper spiritually, financially. If I don't, but I know that I planted the seed.
Yeah.
I planted the seed.
Yes.
I planted a whole bunch of seeds.
Absolutely.
So they're gonna be all right.
Yes, they're gonna be all right. I love it. I love it. So I have one last question to you to wrap up. And so that question is, do you have any, words of advice or nuggets of wisdom for, artists finding their way, finding their voice, pivoting, trying on new hats?
Yes. Yes, I do. And I think you touched on it. Resiliency. You touched on it.
Yeah.
And I echo that, because that has been my mantra, just that single word.
Yeah.
And even it might sound elementary, but I'm a person, I'm a wordsmith.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a poet. I love the sound of words. I love putting words together, and I love when they come together and it's like magic, it's like a flow. Resiliency, right? Look it up. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being funny right now. Not you per se, but for the audience, for the listeners. Look up the word and recognize what it means. As a matter of fact, let me do this. I'm going to tell you because I can show you better not to tell. Let me stop. I know, I'm a piece of work.
That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, wait, let me show you. Let me do this real quick. I know we're running out of time, sweetheart. Let me do this real quick. Okay, so resiliency. My phones are like Fort Knox, girl. So, okay. Come on now. Okay. Here it is. It's going. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying look it up is because I want you to get the definition. I'm speaking to my young people. And I'm even speaking to those that aspire to do what I do or what I've done and what I've accomplished. So resiliency. Okay, the meaning of resilience. The ability to recover. That's the operative word. However, the ability to recover quickly. From illness, from change, from misfortune, or from buoyancy. Number 2, the property of a material that enables it to resume, the operative word is resume. The property of a material that enables it to resume its original shape or position after being bent, after being stretched or compressed, and elasticity is the objective. Number 3, final one, the act of springing back, the act of rebounding, or the act of resilient. So if you fall into a ditch, like I've fallen so many times, I've fallen into a ditch. Sometimes it was my onus. Like I did some things, and to every cause there's an effect, and to every sin there's a consequence, right? So I would fall into a ditch. And sometimes it was because of oppression. Sometimes it was because of rejection. Like my mom rejected me. Sometimes she abandoned me, right? And not just my mother, but my biological father. So as a young girl, all I knew how to do was to bounce back, to rebound, to start again, to regain what I've lost, right? But as I matured, out of my ratchetness, I found that there's not only solace in God, the true and living God, but his spirit bought me a peace that surpasses all understanding. And coupled with my resilient spirit and having that mindset that, oh, you can't keep a good woman down. I know I'm a good woman.
Yeah.
I know I'm Gucci. No matter, because I know, number 1, God would not have given me all these gifts and talents and mantled me with this special anointing just for me to be on the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Or for me to be, somebody's punching bag.
Yeah.
To be stepped on and to be, to be just oppressed and felt like I'm nothing or I'm nobody or I don't matter.
Yeah.
So in closing, resiliency is my that's my superpower.
Yes. Ooh. Period. She said what she said.
Yes. Resiliency.
Yes.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Hey.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, yes. Queen Chyna West, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So please let the people know where they can find you out here on these interwebs.
Okay. Absolutely, I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I will also put all of your links in the show notes. So I'll put the links to your website.
Okay.
Y'all, she got her Instagram. Okay. Everywhere you can find Miss Queen Chyna West. I'll put that in the show notes so y'all can connect with her and contact. And I must say to you, yes, that I acknowledge you, I celebrate you, and I uplift you.
Thank you.
You're so very welcome.
Likewise, a boomerang that. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Ayana, girl. Look, get off my phone. You're about to make me cry. Thank you. I almost felt like Hercules. Yes, I love you, Ayana. Thank you, sweetheart.
Yes, I love you too. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. This podcast is produced by Ayana Major Bay. Editor is Kieran Niement. Theme song lyrics written by Ayana Major Bay and Melissa Victor, with performance by Ayana Major Bay. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
Part of the Boundless Audio Podcast Network.